What's up, YouTube? So I'm going to go over just a bit of a repair on a 99 Honda Civic. It's my daily driver, and I was driving to work, and I must have ran something over. It basically blew out my tire, smashed my fender, and caused a little bit of damage here and there. So we're going to go over the car and take a look at everything, make sure it's good to go. There's not much more I can say about it other than I don't know what I hit or ran over. Most likely a piece of wood. It's getting cold in my area, and a lot of people will take tons of wood in their trucks, and sometimes pieces fall out. And maybe there was just a little tiny, log sitting on the road, a piece of lumber maybe, and didn't see it when I was driving at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it rolled up into the fender well. So looks like it busted the tire. I don't think it was a blowout. I don't think it was a faulty tire. But let's do a little investigation and I'll show you the damage. So here it is. There's that fender. Really can't tell what it was. The tire is pretty jacked up. I seriously doubt that it was just a blowout, but it could have been. If it was and the car came smashing down onto the road and landed onto the, basically a rim. The tire itself, we'll get a look at that here in a second, but you can see inside there we've got a smashed ABS speed sensor wire, and then the fender itself has just seen, well, a 60-mile-an-hour smash to the ground. Probably time to change out the suspension as well and take a look of your control arms, bushings, brakes. I was able to put the spare tire on, and due to the current winter conditions that were on that day, I decided to take the car home and pop in the truck and go to work that way. So I'll give you a shot here. We're going to start with looking at the tire, and then we're going to have to remove this side skirt here. So we'll go ahead and start with that. Let's get that tire. We'll take a look at it. Alright, there's that tire, and honestly there's more like a chunk. Wouldn't consider it a blowout, but it looks like we've got a couple ruptures here on the tire. Looks like something may have entered in, and then we've got what looks like something that basically came in, punctured it. There's another rip right up just ahead of it, and then you can see a bulge here right where my weights are. That's probably about where I would say the vehicle came down onto the rim. Most likely maybe the upper control arm from the knuckle. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell what exactly it was, but from the damage we'll just assess that we ran something over. Usually blowouts, they do damage to the rim, but that looks like something definitely took a chunk out and caused a puncture. Possibly could came this way into the car. I don't know. We'll take a look, but we're gonna assess all the damage and get everything fixed, get this daily driver back on the road. So we'll start with that side skirt there. I'm gonna take that, we're gonna get it on a jack stand. Make sure you prop the back tire with a chalk, and we'll get on it. All right, so we've got most of it done. Real easy, pretty simple, pretty quick. On the side skirt, you've got 3 Phillips screw type rivets that attach to the bottom section. There's one there, one there. And this is exactly how it came out, and then one there. So, or one there, excuse me. So once you've removed those and you have removed the 2 screws, Phillips screws, from the fender area, this whole thing you can just push this way right off of these retaining style clips, and we'll get to the installation of those later. Real easy. You won't break anything if you do it that way. Next, you have 3 10mm on the top of the fender. You've got one that you can access through the door, 2 at the bottom, and then of course you've got the plastic splash guard that goes right here with all its attachments, all these little clip rivets and any Phillips screws. You have a couple access points under. There should be 2 Phillips and then a little pop rivet. So you can tell there's a little bit of damage here. There should be a connecting point just right up here, and then right here is this bracket that got bent up. So my initial view, you could tell that something came up, jammed between the tire and the fender well. First thing I saw after I took the tire off is the ABS was smashed, cutting the wire. Other than that, I don't see any potential damage to anything else. I do have new brakes to put on, so that's good, because this slamming down onto the rim, and then, well, not necessarily slamming down, but coming down onto the ground in such hard abrupt. We're going to inspect all the bushings and everything right here, so you can see that something came here, right there. Nice little chunk, if it'll focus. So really did see something pretty nasty. We'll get this last two bolts off and we'll get a look at what we got. So just to be aware, you have the three up here on top. You've got the one at the door. You have an attachment point here. There's a bracket that attaches to here that you have to access. Most of the time you have to take the headlight off. This one's so smashed and jacked up that I got all of it off. Well, that's where we're at. You can see some damage there from whatever it was that came into contact. I could almost, I want to say, if that's just the material underneath, yeah. Oh, I was going to say it looked like little pieces of wood. But anyway, that's where we're at. So we'll get things straightened out, a new fender. We'll replace the brakes, we'll check the shocks and all the bushings and everything else that is incorporated here. And we will get everything back up and running. New tire. The rim is gone. It's no longer valid. We have extra rim. So, all right. So I will get some work done on it, and then when the parts roll in, we'll finish the video. So we're working on the ABS for the passenger side. If you recall, it got cut from whatever object flew at it, broke it up, snagged the wire, whatever. So what I found to be easiest, take the air box with your filter housing all the way up to your throttle body, take it off. Next, I removed the fuse relays here off of the bracket. Released that wire from its grips, which was under here. And then, if I can get you a shot, it is that wire grouping right here. What I found easiest, since the wire is cut, is to give myself a little more of the female end and release by pushing up off of the bracket, off that right there. That is the retaining bracket that holds on to the male side of the connection. So I went ahead and did that, and then I can give relief to this and get this out of here. And now I can take this off, pull the wire through, and I'm up to feed that through the grommet on this side, right there. See? So we'll go ahead and relieve the stress by pushing in. I got that bracket removed. Luckily, the ABS speed sensor I purchased has all the hardware, all these brackets already attached. I didn't think they were going to come with it since it was so cheap, but we'll go ahead and get that finished up. Hopefully that's a good tip that'll help you. There it is. There is part of the bracket. I removed this. I was thinking that when the new item came I had to reuse brackets, but luckily no. So here is the bracket up inside the fender well. This goes onto the steering knuckle, and this is the speed sensor onto the hub assembly area. Here's the wire. It was a little difficult to get this snagged through on a couple wire looms, so I just went ahead and cut it. Yeah, so there's the old one. Here's the new one. There's your part number. This is what I got. I got this from Amazon. B008126 Mike Papa 4. And it is a, there's your brand. I got it real cheap. 20 bucks. Amazon. Totally cheaper than any place else I could find. So there's that. Hopefully if you need it, there it is. So I'm going to go ahead. In the bag. Got it opened up. It comes with everything I need. We got a new grommet. New wire harness, new brackets, new sensor. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that installed. Okay, so 1999 Honda Civic EX. Right after the incident of having something jam up into the fender wheel, punch the tire, blow out on the highway going 60 miles an hour. Did an inspection of the suspension components, and the shock is bad. The strut assembly is ruined. I could probably reuse the spring, but I'm not going to. I went ahead and ordered some lowering sleeves and new shocks. Pretty inexpensive. Tried to go with some coilovers, but the seller wouldn't work with me on price, so I went with the alternative option. So I've got the upper control arm removed. Those are 14 millimeters up here. I had to remove the battery. You can see there's one there and there's one there. Pretty easy. Just make sure you get that battery removed. Found a fender at the local junkyard. Paid 30 bucks. It was straight, was gray, but I painted it, and just slightly in place, nothing cranked down. We'll get that tightened up. So ordered brand new brakes and rotors, got those offline. Pretty good little deal for 45 bucks. You get a set of brakes, you get new hardware for your caliper bracket, and you get 2 rotors. I did have extra screws that go in place, your 6x14. There's your part number 93600 tag 06014 tag 0H. So I had extra ones for my other project, and those go right there. A little bit of anti-seize on the threads, and then that keeps that rotor in place while you're taking everything else off. So we will be replacing the tie rod end here. It looks like it pretty much just got to the point where it was going to break. It hasn't broken, but we're going to leave it there for now. Got parts for that, an upper control arm, new shocks, and lowering sleeves. Just as a daily, it's nothing special. Just kind of wanted to have a little fun while I'm doing some repairs. So everything looks good with the exception of the tie rod end. Decided to go with the upper control arm. There was a kit, pretty inexpensive, that came with it, and the driver's side will need a new boot. But I'll check this one as well, make sure that one's good. So there's the update. As soon as the parts get in, I'll have this car up on jack stands and just throw the new parts on, crank them down to torques, specs, and then get this. I have another tire here with pretty aged, a little bit of weathering. We'll get a new tire on that, get that bolted on, and she should be roadworthy. And then we'll check it for an alignment, if it needs it or not. Hopefully it doesn't. I'm only replacing the one tie rod end, which is not hard to do. Once you break it loose, it's just pretty much counting your threads, etc., and then trying to line it up nice and even with your steering wheel that is straight. But if you can't accomplish that, take it to your local shop and have them double check your alignment. So that's where we are at, and I can't really think of anything else at the moment. We're gonna get the new brakes in. I went ahead and cleaned everything up. We're just waiting on parts. So as soon as I get those installed, I'll give you an update.
I gave you my heart.